Welcome, fellow humans. Today I'm going to talk about face blindness, which is the inability to recognize people by their faces, at least generally. There's a technical term for face blindness, which I always struggle with, but I'm going to attempt to let you know what it is, which is prosopagnosia. I studied psychology, I should be good at these sorts of terms, but that's a tricky one. Anyway, I have what is hereditary face blindness, at least most likely, given that I've had it all my life and I have several different family members who also have to deal with face blindness. And unsurprisingly, the hereditary form runs in families. When a typical human looks at another human face, there's a special part of the brain that is supposed to be focused on the face and that helps people to identify the differences between one person's face and another person's face and helps them to identify what emotions that person is expressing. And this is really, really useful. But some people don't have that work quite right. I don't know if I have some ability to do this and it's just very impaired, or if I'm not doing it with that special part of the brain at all, because there is also the ability to use the regular part of the brain to identify what you see and to see the differences between that and other things. So I can identify people to some extent because I can see the normal differences. It's just that faces aren't easier for me than identifying the differences between other objects. So I often will focus on the parts of the face that are really variable. Hair is one of the ones I tend to focus on a lot because it can be short, long, completely absent, it can be straight or curly, it can be a wide variety of colors, and this is a great way for me to better identify who it is that I'm dealing with. There is an obvious problem with this. Sometimes people change their hair. And that's a big issue for me. I once failed to identify somebody that I was living with because she had changed her hair. So it's not a great strategy, but it's one of the best ones that I have because faces don't actually look that different. People tend to put their eyes in roughly the same place, their nose in roughly the same place, the mouth in roughly the same place. They tend to have the same number of them. I've never met somebody who had more than one mouth, but if I did, I would probably identify them again when I next saw them. But because some people have to just use the normal ability to identify differences, it is much more difficult. I have also wondered if lacking that special ability to see faces has affected how I feel about faces. I've noticed that other people seem to have these really weird feelings and attachments to eyes and eye contact. I know that when I saw Coraline, a lot of my friends were really, really freaked out because there's a bit in the movie with button eyes, and that just was a really impactful thing for them, and I completely fail to understand why. I mean, it's a little disturbing, and I kind of get that, but it just seemed out of proportion to me, and I think it's because eyes are more special to other people than they are to me. Similarly, people tend to have this big thing about eye contact and how important it is and what it means and whether someone is lying or telling the truth. And eye contact is mostly meaningless to me. There are a small number of situations where I like eye contact, but most of the time I don't pay any attention to it. I don't care. And most of the time throughout my life, if I had been told that I should focus on somebody's eyes, I would have thought that they were being really stupid. Because, of course, if they're talking to me, I should focus on their mouth. Because I need to understand what they're saying. This is likely because I have an auditory processing disorder, and I didn't know that growing up either. And so focusing on someone's mouth really, really helped me to better understand what was being said. Focusing on someone's eyes did nothing. I wasn't gaining much info from it. I mean, sure, there's a little bit of info. If somebody is crying, then I would certainly be able to interpret that as an important emotional piece of info. But for the most part, I don't read emotions from eye contact. There have been a few exceptions here or there, but it is the general trend. And so I've been really confused by things like when I first read the idea of a smile that didn't reach someone's eyes. I didn't know what they were talking about because smiles don't reach people's eyes. And eventually I learned what that phrase meant, and I kind of get it, but that's a really difficult thing for me because it's such small, subtle details. And it's easier to read somebody's sincerity, for me at least, from other things about them. So there's this whole realm of things that face blindness has done to change how I think about the world. In fact, there's so much to it that I'm going to put the social effects of face blindness into a separate video because I didn't know growing up that I had face blindness. I couldn't tell people, I couldn't ask them to adapt for that to help me out. And this was also true for my family members who were even older than me and had to grow up with face blindness without having even the concept of face blindness. And the social effects of that are so significant that I want to give it its own video. Anyway, that's my story, and if you liked it, please click like, and if you know someone who might find it interesting, then please share. If you would like more similar content, then of course subscribe. But most of all, if you have any thoughts, questions, similar experiences, differing experiences because you actually can see faces in the normal way, then I would love to read your comments. Thank you.